right now.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is Tony DeGuida. Thank you for joining us with another episode of Coffee with a Coach. I'm here with Coach Milou.
Good morning.
And good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
We are broadcasting a little earlier today because we have a special guest with us today.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yes. So I'd like to introduce Stephen Brown.
Hello.
Good morning, Stephen. You got all dressed up for us this morning.
I did. Pull over and everything.
That's the beauty of Zoom. I'm not wearing any pants, actually.
Well, cheers to that. Here is the coffee.
I hope you have coffee in hand with as we have a discussion today. Our subject is happiness. And one of the reasons we wanted to invite Stephen Brown, he is general manager of Frankly to Acura and Frankly to Honda. And I've known Stephen, and Dr. Milou has known Stephen for a few years. And Stephen is the epitome of happiness. And we all go through a lot of adversity in our life. And Steve has had some challenging issues with health and such, but has always retained a steady smile on his face and a happiness throughout. So Stephen, tell us a little bit about what makes you happy.
Well, first of all, I have a lot of things to make me happy. So it's pretty easy. I've got a great wife and 3 amazing girls, a family, an extended family that's very close, a great job, live in a great country. So, there's a lot of things that that you can be happy about when you're so blessed. But when challenges arise, I look at perspective as probably the biggest key to happiness, and just understanding all the things that are going right as opposed to all the things that are going wrong, and the fact that you may not be able to control some things in life, but you can always control your mood and your attitude. So that's how I try to look at every day, and it's definitely kept me where every day I feel like is the best day of my life.
Well, there's no question. There's a lot of noise out there, a lot of things on the outside elements of our life that want to create or tend to create fear and concern. And I think you're absolutely right. You need to count your blessings, and you need to be grateful for the things that are a part of your life each day.
Absolutely.
I think part of what I hear from you also is just living in the present moment and enjoying each moment. From what I know of you, I know that you take the time in your day. You have a very, very busy day, but you try to work in things in your day that enrich your personal well-being.
Yeah, I read a book one time that there was a quote that I think of every day, and it's don't prioritize your schedule your priorities. And if your priorities are, to spend time with family, or to exercise, or to eat, a healthy lifestyle, then that has to become the priority in your day. And that happens no matter what. And everything else in your life fills in around it. But those things have to take priority. If you say that your family is the most important thing to you, yet you work all day and you don't get to see your family, then you're really communicating something different than what you say you believe. So I try to have my actions align with my beliefs. And so I used to never eat dinner with my family. I would work through it. I'd come home late, kiss the kids goodnight, and start all over again. And I thought I was doing it for them. But I recently, within the last few years, I haven't missed a dinner. And because that was a priority for me, I just made sure that happened no matter what. And life has found a way to fill in around it.
It's amazing what you can do when you prioritize and realize what's important to you like that.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt. We all work so hard trying to provide for our family. yet our family is missing us because of the hours that we put in. And so we have to realize why we're doing it.
It's not that they want more money or they want the things that you think that you're saving for. They really just want you. And there is a limited time, with my girls, they're 4, 8, and 10. And there's a very small window of time that I'm going to get of this. And so I want to make sure that even if it's hanging out with friends, I feel like I have time to do that after the kids are out of the house. I'm still going to be friends with them. So all this time to go out to restaurants and go to this activity and that activity and these events that sound really fun. There's some things that sound really awesome. And I used to not say no to anything. I just, sure, I'll go to this. I'll sign up for that board. I'll sign up for this committee. And I realized that I was just so consumed. So I started saying no to a lot more things and saying yes to what was most important, which was at this point in my life, my kids.
Well, that's an excellent point. And I think everybody needs to realize that there's nothing wrong in saying no to things. And we feel that we have so many obligations and there's so many opportunities. But as long as we, like you say, prioritize the things that are most important and understand what's the most important thing in your life, then you know what to say yes to and what to say no to. There's no doubt. The age of your children, 4, 8, and 10, you could probably, it's a beautiful thing because you have all girls and you can see the difference that oldest one went from 8 to 10. It's a big stage right there where she starts to become a young woman, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It really, every year I feel like, so I write down every year on their birthday, I write down a little note about their personality, who they are and what they're interested in and our relationship. And every year I read the previous years and it's amazing. Just every step in life from 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, it's just, they are completely different people. They're in completely different phases in life. You can see things evolve. They start out, my kid's yelling at me to wipe it right now. So, but it's remarkable how fast they grow. And I look at my 10-year-old now and it is what people say. It's a blink of an eye and all that time has passed. And I just want to make sure I enjoy every day of it.
Well, I think it allows you to get back the years when you were younger too. Their naivety and their fresh outlook in life, their fresh perspective.
Yeah, and it disconnects you from the world that can sometimes be very negative, depending on what you read and how much you want to get consumed in the news and things that you really can't control. I try to know what's most important in the world without getting too deep into issues to where it causes anxiety or stress or just really wastes time, because you could go down a rabbit hole on the internet and never come back. So I try to be, informed, but not to get too consumed with it, and instead spend that time just being, like a kid, where you don't really have a lot of those worries, and you can just go outside. And my kid said today, 3:00, let's go for a bike ride. I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to figure out, maybe I'll work a little later after they go to bed, or I'll wake up a little earlier and figure it out, but I'm not going to miss that bike ride. So I try to make sure that just like they want to pick up and do something on a whim, you should be able to do that in life. Because I think it's really important, especially while you're healthy, because your health isn't, you're not entitled to that. And that can be taken away at any minute. And so if you don't enjoy that, one day you might find yourself not able to do the things you wish you always could have done.
So to that point, do you think, I know you had a little health issue, do you think that opened your mind up more so, facing serious concerns with your health?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was, I was diagnosed a couple of years ago with leukemia, and the last 2 years have been, well, the first year after that was pretty intense chemotherapy, and almost didn't make it. I had some issues, liver failure, and spent some time in the ICU. So when I got out of the hospital the first time, I couldn't walk without a walker. I couldn't bathe, eat, just basic things that you
Take for granted.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. And I remember just watching someone run by me one day. I was driving, it was one of the first times I was able to drive. And somebody ran, and I kind of resented them a little bit. And I thought, you have no idea how lucky you are just to be able to put one foot in front of the other. And I thought, how far, I've come, where I might complain about something not being cooked correctly, at a restaurant. And here I am now not able to walk without assistance. So it really can be taken away from you at any time. And I feel very fortunate that I've recovered, and I'm almost through my chemotherapy. But you're not entitled to that. And if tomorrow I woke up and I couldn't be mobilized or do some of the things that I enjoy doing right now, I don't want to regret not doing them yesterday. So I really do feel like every day you just have to make the most out of it and do the things that you, at the end of the day, just think, at the beginning of the day, I try to think, what do I want to accomplish today? What do I want to do? And what could I say at the end of today that I would be proud of? And if you do that every day, you make little progress, little deposits into relationships. Maybe, I wish I try to send a nice email or make a nice phone call to somebody just to let them know that I'm either thinking about them or that I care about them, or that they're just doing a great job at work, because it's always true. You just have to find those things. And I maybe just by sending a 2-sentence email brighten somebody's entire day, just because I took the time, I took 20 seconds to think about maybe who was doing a really good job or who means a lot to me right now. But that might have changed their entire day. Who knows, maybe their entire week for that little investment of time that it took. So I really feel like there's so much time in a day to make impact in people's lives and into your own life. You just have to have a plan, have some intentional living.
That's excellent point. And you don't realize what a little thing like that does for somebody else's day and in their life. And you really don't have to dwell on that either. It's just you find the happiness within yourself, making that forward progress and making that acknowledgement for others. I think you're right. Everybody works so hard to do what they do, and a little bit of recognition just brightens somebody's day, that they know somebody is paying attention.
Yeah, they certainly hear about it when they're not doing something right. I'm sure from a spouse or a kid or a boss. But how many times do people really go out of their way to say when something was right? And that does go a long way. People need to hear that. I think that life is it's all about relationships. That's, to me, that's kind of what it boiled down to when I was in the hospital. That's what I really thought was, I just want to have a big network of relationships and impact as many lives as I can, because I feel like everybody's life can just be a gift to other people's lives. And if we all look at it that way, there would be a lot more happiness, a lot less anxiety in the world.
Well, you see a lot of that, and occasionally you see that in the news where somebody has gone through some great adversity, and they seem to be, one, so resilient, but two, so positive about their life and so happy about it. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to go through the adversity to actually realize that. And I feel that sometimes we watch that person who lost a leg or whatever, and some tremendous tragedy, and they seem so upbeat. I know it still stays with me today. I saw somebody who lost everything in their house. Their whole house burnt down. And they said, it's like a weight was lifted off of them. And they see now what's really important. But
one of the things, Tony, you have to understand, happiness is one of the very difficult concept in coaching. And what I find, so as you can see, we have a 9-module approach in Vino and Vision. And by the time we reach to the module, the 9th module is happiness. So the concept of happiness, a lot of people understand it is in a very difficult way. What they don't understand is what is happiness. what is a true happiness? So there is a lot of psychological foundation and philosophical foundation that builds true happiness. And that's why uh, in our 9 module approach, the final module is happiness. So let me tell you what is philosophical foundation. So in philosophical foundation, we have philosopher named Socrates. We have philosopher named Aristotle, and we have philosopher named Epicurus. Okay.
So the main philosophers we've all heard of.
Exactly. So what we sometimes believe is happiness is actually not happiness. You know, we can have uh, in Steve's case, Steve have done menu of life, and he has done vision tree, and on both cases, and with Steve's permission, I rather have Steve talk about it, because in menu of life and vision tree, we found a keyword that was the foundation for him, and that's the keyword he can talk about here. So let me tell you what is the difference between Socrates, Aristotle, and Epicurus theory in happiness. So there is understanding of the root causes of suffering. So Socrates talk about it. What is the root cause of suffering? So if you don't understand the root cause of suffering, how can you be happy? So think about that for a second. If you don't understand the root cause of suffering, how can you be happy? So you have to first identify the root causes of suffering. And then Socrates take it to a little bit deeper level, and he talk about internal happiness and external happiness and how they relate. So as a human being, we need to have both internal and external happiness. But how do you work on that? There is also, which is from Aristotle's perspective, that he mentioned about just versus unjust and how we compare those in our mind. Human mind is the most fascinating thing that we discover and we nurture in coaching. So what is just and unjust? What we believe, each of us have a belief system that believe this is just, this is unjust, and that's what causes our happiness and unhappiness. And then Epicurus talked about self-imposed beliefs. So for example, I will give you that we believe that I can go and be happy because that's why I'm happy. But that may be a surface of the cause that making me think like I'm happy, but actually I'm not happy. That is self-imposed beliefs. And Epicurus talked about two types of self-imposed belief. One is punishment for action. The other one is fear of future. Punishment for action and fear of future. So both beliefs produce fear and anxiety. Okay, and those are completely unnecessary because punishment for action is, so for example, if you think about something and you say, okay, this is if I take this action, I will be suffering, or I will have consequences, and that causes that punishment for action. And fear of future, which is like right now, is a very important topic, because on COVID we are all fearing for future. So these are some uh, theories that I wanted to throw in there to get our mind going, that happiness is the most difficult, and there is short-term versus long-term happiness, and there is imaginary versus real happiness. So these are all come from Epicurus. So if we do not understand the foundational aspect of happiness, we can be happy. But at the same times, that same happiness can cause anxiety and and some people lose their mind, because even though they think, like imaginary happiness, for example, you walk in a bar and you have few drinks and you suddenly become happy. That is your imaginary happiness. It's not your real happiness. So in my cycling with coaching segment, last one, we talked about happiness. Happiness needs real work, and that's why we put it at the very last module, it have to build all the foundation to get to the happiness. That's why we call it pursuit of happiness. That's the destination happiness. So I thought I just throw it out there so we understand what we are talking about here may be the peak of the iceberg, but not the bottom of the iceberg where the true happiness reside. True happiness, and you have other theories out there as well, like Buddhism, or mindfulness is another practice that we do where we quiet our mind to go to the root of our mind and focus on real happiness. And once we are really happy, then we are happy. Okay.
Well, there's no doubt. Excuse me. That was a lot of concepts there that we try to bring into our lives. Excuse me. Stephen, what was that key word that you found as you were delving down into yourself that you found connected with you about when it comes to happiness?
It was love.
It was love.
Yep.
And love for yourself or love for others?
It was a lot of different branches. So it was the menu of life and drawing the tree out, and so there was myself where I do want to eat well and exercise and stimulate my mind and keep myself active. There's love for my family and my wife. There's even love for my coworkers, because I do feel like they are an extended family, and I feel like I have a responsibility as a manager in the organization to take care of them and make sure that their goals in life become my goals, and that whatever they want to achieve, I help them achieve, because I can do that. I have a platform to be able to put them on a career path and to to make conscious decisions, not to hire people from other organizations just because they might be more qualified at that time. Instead, we try to grow people within our company. And so I really try to nurture all of those relationships because they're all very important to me. And so yeah, the word is love. And the important thing that we really dug into is love is not a noun, it's an adjective, or it's a verb rather. And if are you showing that you love? So you can say you love your wife, but if someone were to watch your actions or watch your decisions about you choose to do this instead of that, maybe with her, are you actually showing that you love instead of just saying it? And so it's really important, I think, to make it an action word, and to think about the things that, if something's important to you, if someone is important to you, what are the things you can do to show love instead of just saying, I love you?
That's a big thought there. Love is a verb. Love is an action word.
Well, what is Steve talking about there is also embedded in a lot of theories, Tony. So he's talking about authentic happiness. What is authentic happiness between I love you versus I really love you? So I love you is a word people use a lot, and they will go in my coaching. I find leaders go in our office and tell their managers, I like you guys, I love you guys. Why don't you do the work? Right? So
is he showing it?
It's not the showing, it's called authenticity. Authentic happiness is defined by, and you can find a toolkit provided by recent days philosopher called Seligman. And Seligman talk about how to be authentic and present. So as we are having this conversation, and Steve's case, he's having the conversation with his wife or whoever he loved, being present, because that's the moment you have with that person at that time. It shows authenticity. Means even at your work, when you are with the people, there is a leadership example where you will see they're typing in their computer, looking at the computer and trying to talk to people, right? Or they're texting and trying to talk to people. That's called, I have two different importance, two different priority going on at the same time, or I may have multiple priority going on same time. So you are not authentically present there. You have to be authentically present with the person you are with. That's the real person in front of you. Another example I'll give you is you are in a customer desk and there is phone ringing and you have a customer right in front of you who you would pick and who you have conversation. So just imagine that you are standing there in line and somebody just called and the customer service person pick up the phone and talking to the person. And
that frustrates me to no end.
So this is an example of authentic happiness, is how do you become present with the person in front of you. And if you do that with every single person you meet, you will find the root cause of happiness, which is authenticity. If you're not authentically happy, you're happy outside, you fake. And that's why you see a lot of comedians who create happiness for people actually commit suicide because they're not happy inside. So be happy inside before you are happy outside, because authenticity what will drive your happiness. Do that make sense?
It does. And we spent a lot of time on love, as a matter of fact, on these conversations. Probably the last 2 months, we talked about love. And authenticity never came out of that, which I think is a key point. Many people talk about being present and don't know what being present is, but that is being real with the person you're with right now, and paying the respect to be in that relationship at that moment.
Our relationship, human relationship, is one-to-one. Even though we talk about one-to-many, but our relationship is one-to-one. So always focus on that one person that you are talking to. You may be speaking, that's different than talking to one person. And when you are having that conversation with one person, that's where it's one-to-one authentic connection. Now there is a theory of discussing with thousands of people on a crowd where political speeches always made. But remember this, you are connecting with them one-to-one. Even though you have million people sitting in front of you, you talking to them as one person. So 1 in a million is the example. So even if you are in a team meeting or a group meeting of a company, if you are talking to them as individuals separating out, it's not gonna have authentic presence. You're gonna have to have one-on-one conversation, which is even million of people, you can talk to them in one-to-one.
Well, that's very key point of public speaking. As a matter of fact, they always say when you're on the stage, pick out one person in the crowd, look at them and talk to them as an individual so that you make that personal connection.
Well, that's personal connection. What I'm talking about, making those 1 million people to one person, not one-to-one. So just think about this for a second. And TED Talks do a very good job on those, not the TEDx, I'm talking about the actual TED, is where you will see they will come to the stage and they will be talking a story. They'll be telling a story to this audience and considering the audience a person of one. Not focusing on individual, but focusing on the group. So anybody you are having connection with, authenticity means you are connecting in a level of one-to-one. Do that make sense?
Very much so. Very much so. And I think the challenges of work, as you know, on a daily basis, Stephen, even with the right attitude that you try to portray on an everyday basis, things come at you that you don't expect. And it's easy to react to that in some impulsive manner, what do you do to pull back for a second before you react to try to keep that love in the connection?
Well, it depends on the situation. I've learned to not send. Well, I guess first the method of communication I think is important. So there's certain times when email is appropriate, or text is appropriate, or a face-to-face conversation is appropriate, and you really have to know which is which. You can't have conversations about someone's performance or compensation or schedule, something that's really important to them. You have to figure that they, for a team member, the most important things to them are: how much am I going to make? How many hours am I going to have to work? Am I doing a good job or not? Those have to be face-to-face conversations, and they can't be let me squeeze you in for a couple of minutes and go over this real quickly and I'll bounce out to another meeting. It has to be scheduled. You have to have more time, probably twice as much time as you think, just to make sure, in case something comes up. Could get into a good conversation that you don't want to have to end abruptly. And you do have to be present in those situations. So I think the most important thing to start with is to figure out what method of communication is the best for what I'm trying to communicate right now, so that I don't, suck the love out of the situation. An email can be really good if you just want an efficient conversation and you want it to be time stamped and tracked. Email's great. I like to have face-to-face conversations, or at least or Zoom or phone conversation, and then recap it with an email just to make sure that it's time stamped and tracked. But that's not the way I want to communicate things. So as often as possible, you know how much gets lost in body language. I mean, just what we're doing right now is better than a phone call. But could we do this over email or text effectively? Of course not. You would lose too much of the essence of the conversation, the body language, and just the relationship that you can try to build by seeing the other person. So that's probably where I would start.
In a written form, when you are doing written communication, authenticity is also very important. Means, do you actually care for that person, the person you are writing to? What is your intention of that writing? So people take writing differently in their own filter. So whenever they read, so you have to put yourself in reader's filter. The first thing you can do, and if you're authentic, you can do that in every email. How are you? How is the life treating you? Ask them that question at the very beginning, and ask it with authenticity, because you're asking the person how they are feeling today. Is the day going well for them today? Even if you have a bad news to share with them, care about them, right? So ask that question. That opens their mind to possibilities that, no, this person care about me. And end the email with greetings, or saying thank you for all the things you have done, or something that shows you a good gesture, even if you are giving them a bad news. People will accept that much more than they will, because if you are authentic and if you are caring, that will show no matter what you do.
Yeah, and giving bad news can help with authenticity, because if you're always giving good news, but maybe you're talking about the negatives behind the person's back, that's not authentic. So people see through that. I never like it when everyone knows something about you except you.
Right.
And that's often how that happens. No one knows. If somebody tells me, well, this person doesn't do this right, and this person's awful at this, the first thing I ask is, do they know?
Exactly. The authenticity come with the honesty as well. So, and be funny about it. So when you are having a conversation about somebody is not doing good, you can say them, hey, you suck. But and it's true honesty from coming from me, right? I'm gonna tell you,
They really do. Yeah,
and they will see the honesty, and they will see the humor, but they will understand that they suck, and they need to start making their improvements. And you giving a bad news with happy face.
One of my favorite people in the world always says, I have to tell this person they have a booger in their nose. Mm-hmm. It's an analogy that if you had a booger in your nose, right, would I tell you? And if I would, then I'm being authentic. I'm a good friend because you don't want to walk around all day like that.
Exactly.
So we come up with kind of the booger in the nose conversation. It's a tough conversation. You don't want to have it, but you're
Right.
doing the person a favor by saying that.
Exactly, by being authentic. But because if you have a person in front of you with booger in the nose, and you are looking at it, your focus is in the booger, but you are talking about other things, they will see you are focusing somewhere else, and they don't know what it is. So you just have to be honest with people and be frank about it. And you don't have to use bad language, just use humor language. And humor will get you by in many places that, even Tony, think about this. When we are having this fabulous coffee, we are having humor, right?
Certainly.
So it creates that joy that we need to have within ourselves. And that's what creates the authentic happiness. So today, that's the message we should take it to the world. Be authentic, be happy.
To be happy is to be authentic.
Exactly.
Well, there are so many things we can discuss in the subject. It seems like we're going to need another show to discuss happiness.
Okay, well,
and the pursuit of it.
Right. December, our theme is holiday and family. That's our theme. This is out of our 9 module, but it is in the 9 modules. So we can use any of our module to discuss in December. So if you want to continue with happiness, family and love and friendship, all of these are authenticity. We are human beings and we are connecting with each other. So,
and I think that's a good subject to talk about happiness and authenticity around your family, because families don't get together and there's a lot of dysfunction around the holidays. Okay. So let's talk about being authentic and real with our family. And if they suck, tell them they suck.
There you go. And they will come. The best part about it, and Steve can vouch to, is, your kids will tell you the truth, how they feel, because they have not developed the filter yet. They will tell you, Dad, I don't like that. Right?
That's right.
They are authentic. So learn from the kids, because we have grown up to be not kid. And by,
maybe that's part of our holiday happiness. We talk about everybody should take a seat at the kids' table.
There you go. So I think our time is almost right. So if you want to continue this conversation in December, we have family and holidays, our theme. We can continue of any of those modules and discuss that in December.
That would be great. And Stephen, I have to thank you so much for being with us today. It opens up the world to see the perspective of another person.
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me. It was fun.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming, Steve. And maybe one of these days we can do this show from your workplace and you can show us some cars.
You can show us happiness from the inside of an Acura sports car.
Yeah.
Well, this is the pandemic. This is my workplace. So it's a lot of dresses and Lego.
Here is authentic. Here is authenticity. You see that? How are you?
This is one of my best friends.
There is one of your
Well,
best
good
friends.
Morning.
Make sure she has the key to the car of a nice Acura whenever she's able to drive.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us for Coffee and the Coach, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Cheers
for the holidays.
Have a great day.
Have a good day. I love you both.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.